Amazon is planning to lay off approximately 10,000 employees in corporate and technology roles beginning this week, according to a report from the New York Times. Separately, the Wall Street Journal also cited a source saying the company plans to lay off thousands of employees. The cuts would be in the largest in the company's history and would primarily impact Amazon's devices organization, retail division, and human resources. The reported layoffs would represent less than 1%, though, of Amazon's global workforce and 3% of its corporate employees. Shares of Amazon closed down about 2% on Monday. For more on this now, let's go to Danni Hewson, who is AJ Bell financial analyst in Huddersfield. Danni, many thanks for being with us today. So, as we just said, the report follows headcount reductions at other tech firms. We've seen Meta announcing it's laying off more than 13% of its staff. Twitter, much worse. What is happening to these high-growth tech companies, Danni? Can you help us make sense of all of this?
I think effectively what happened is during the pandemic, these companies grew too far, too fast. And certainly that's what Facebook's boss, the Meta boss, Mark Zuckerberg, said when he announced the job cuts, that he'd simply got it wrong. We've seen valuations on the stock market drop considerably since the start of the year in those, post-pandemic highs when everyone expected that demand would just keep rising. Instead, what we've got is incredibly high inflation. We've got consumers really thinking hard about where they spend their money. And that is having a huge knock-on to these businesses. And investors are saying, look, you need to get a grip. And that is exactly what Amazon said during its last earnings update, that it needed to tighten its belt. And this seems to be an example of exactly how it's going to do that.
Interesting, Danni. And I wonder, is this happening only in the US? And it is happening only for these technology companies. What's the situation like in Europe and in the UK?
We've had a jobs update here in the UK this morning, and it's been interesting because for the first time, we've actually seen the levels of unemployment start to slowly creep up. Now, we've also had a number of businesses here in the UK either going into administration or signalling that they are going to go into administration. At the moment, that is primarily in the retail sector. But for the first time in a long time, instead of talking about huge numbers of vacancies, we're talking about job cuts, and that seems to be a mark that recession is very much on the cards globally.
Absolutely. Many thanks for this interesting update, Danni Hewson.